Here we go. There we go. Okay. All right. So,
actually hear me on that thing?
Yeah, normally it's pretty good. Yeah, it might catch your voice, but you should be louder than that.
Great.
Yeah. All right. So first, all right. Do you consider Cyberpunk a success, and why?
Oh, I say success. Very few role-playing games have managed to survive 20-odd years and be translated in like 9 different languages.
Sure, yeah.
Including Hebrew of all things.
Really?
Which always amazed me.
Wow.
So I'd say it's a success.
Very cool. Yeah.
I guess the proof of that is that I now, in my electronic game career, run across people who are working in many different electronic game companies.
Okay.
And they go, oh yeah, I started playing with Cyberpunk. And I go, I feel really old now.
Well, I GM Cyberpunk since the first edition, and I'm still GMing it every weekend basically. So, still my favorite game almost. Yeah, with Call of Duty. All right. So, do you think Cyberpunk as an art genre is declining?
It sort of depends. Do you mean as a literary genre?
Globally, exactly. The whole movement, Cyberpunk movement.
It's kind of weird because the problem is that much of what we considered to be cyberpunk and kind of dark futurism is actually kind of coming true. I'm doing a new edition of Cyberpunk now. Basically, as I call it, the 2020 revisited version. And one of the things we have now in it is a thing called 2020 is Closer Than You Think, and which we actually contrast things we talked about 10, 15 years ago, and now we talk about, yep, it's really happening. So, for example, corporate armies, Blackwater, corporate overthrows, pick a number, dysfunctional American governments, pick a number. I remember one of the things that threw Cyberpunk off incredibly from 3rd edition was getting up one morning, I was working on it, and writing a section where somebody had blown up these twin Arasaka towers and watched a plane flying into the Twin Towers in New York. And I said, yeah, I'm getting too close here.
Yeah.
So I would say the thing is that as a literary genre, it is probably a dead genre. As a consciousness genre, i.e., it's kind of now in the consciousness. So, for example, when Blade Runner came out, which is one of my big inspirations for what I do in Cyberpunk, that was very avant-garde. Now people accept the idea of that kind of dystopian future. It's just a matter of course. So it would be kind of like saying, is Star Trek or Star Wars, space opera, defunct? Not really. It's just not part of the culture.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah, I noticed that William Gibson just wrote his last 2 books. Nowadays, he doesn't even have to write in the future anymore, so it's all happening now. How was Cyberpunk 3 received by fans?
It was a mix. We actually got a lot of the new people, and some of the older fans have a lot of problems with the fact that we try to update the technology. And it's interesting, as my son pointed out very well, he said that to some extent you're always going to lose trying to update the technology because it moves faster than you do. But he came back and said, we really like the retro side of it because by now it's so retro, it's kind of cool. So I would have liked it to probably have been better received, but it did fine. And it picked up new people who had never seen the genre.
All right. So actually, you partially answered this one. So you do envision making a 4th edition of Cyberpunk?
Yeah. What happened was my son's 16 now, and he was about 10. He decided he was going to become a game designer.
Okay.
And has turned out to be a very good game designer, which is rather frightening. And so one of the things he pointed out was he had discovered what we did on his own, because when he was, able to really perceive this, he knew me primarily as a video game person. And then one day he came across a copy of Teenagers and said, Dad, do you have something to do with this? I said, yeah, I wrote it. He said, whoa, cool. So then he discovered Cyberpunk, and he and his friends started playing. And he said, well, what I like about some of the older stuff is it's now so older that it's now this cool retro, huge cell phones and cyber arms and stuff. And basically said you ought to really take a look at revisiting at some point and looking at just that style. We've kind of realized that V3 and V2 are basically different types of styles. They're both cyberpunk, but one is a much later form, more of the Japanese, and one is more of the earlier Blade Runner style.
Sure.
So what we're doing now is we're harmonizing the two together, and with the new 2020 version, I'm kind of bringing that up to date a bit more.
Okay.
New art, a lot more weird commentary and stuff.
Cool. Any ETA on that, or do you have an idea?
Well, what happens is I teach college now.
Okay.
So my summers open up, and the first few weeks before summer. So what happens is, oddly enough, the 2020.2 is actually done except for the art. So I'll probably be ordering the art and dropping that into place. So probably, I want to get it together by Gen Con if we can do it. That would be fun.
Wow, looking forward to it.
And then we have a follow-up book that bridges between the two periods, between 2020 and 2030X.
Oh, I see.
It's called Aftershocks, the long-awaited Aftershock, and we have that in as well.
Okay, cool.
So both of them are manuscript and 2020.2 is actually in layout. It's all been laid out. I just don't have the art yet for it.
Okay, awesome.
So,
wow. I'm glad to hear
I've been sneaking it in between grading people's papers and teaching lectures.
Okay.